Greetings, Taku Faithful. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, it's Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, and I'm here to bring you all yet again another Top 5 video segment right here on Otaku Assemble Weekly. And as always, I'm here to bring you the latest in this week's Top 5 video segment. But before I jump into this week's list, I want to take this time to thank all of you who tuned in last week for the Top 5 video segment debut. It seems that you all really enjoyed the segment, and so as long as the views are there, I'll keep it going. So I really want to take this time to thank you all. I really appreciate all your support. Now, in regards to this week's list, funny thing, I found it hilarious that the most popular vote, the most voted up suggestion for this week's top 5 was favorite Avatar: The Last Airbending episodes. And the reason why I found it so funny was because coincidentally, for those of you all who caught last week's video, you will remember me saying that the reason why I decided to start off top 5 with favorite Justice League episodes was because I had just recently finished watching all 5 seasons of Justice League, and that was because my cable was cut off for the month of July. Coincidentally, right before I started watching Justice League, I had just finished rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender. Hey, a brother had his cable cut off for a whole month. You tend to rewatch full series and you tend to marathon them. So yeah, when I saw that suggestion, I was like, God damn, I just got done rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender right before I started Justice League. So I just found that very funny, very comical. Also, in regards to this week's list, I want you all to know that it is very difficult to take 61 episodes of a highly recommended and a critically acclaimed series and narrow it down to a top 5. Really hard, but I managed to do it. I managed to make my list, and so with that being said, here it is, my top 5 favorite Avatar: The Last Airbender episodes. And starting the list off at number 5 is Season 1, Episode 18, The Waterbending Master. In this episode, Aang, Katara, and Sokka finally make it to the Northern Water Tribe so Aang can begin his waterbending training. And this is when we get introduced to Master Pakku, who at this point in time in the series is regarded as the best waterbending master in the world. And so throughout the episode, Aang is beginning his training under him, but also Katara has been expecting to train under him as well. And this is when we find out that in the Northern Water Tribe, they forbid women from learning waterbending as a martial art. The women in the Northern Water Tribe, their waterbenders they use their craft for healing. And so of course Katara is just expected to do that. And so she tries it out, for a while, but she's like, no, I wanna learn waterbending. I wanna learn how to fight, and I'm going to make Pakku teach me. This is bullshit. I'm not settling for this. And so the climax of the episode is the battle between Katara and Master Pakku, and it's one of my favorite scenes in the entire series, and definitely one of my favorite Katara scenes, because you're talking about Katara, who throughout the entire season up to that point, we know that she's always wanted to learn waterbending because she has the gift for it. If you recall back in the waterbending scroll, we've seen her struggle with learning it, struggle with it, getting better at it. And then of course, Aang being the Avatar, of course he naturally just picks it up like, just because it's Tuesday. And Katara really has to work hard in order to succeed in it. And just seeing her, go toe to toe with a waterbending master and actually for a moment be able to hold her own, man, love it. Absolutely loved it. And yeah, of course Katara, she is defeated and whatnot, but that's when we learn a little bit about Katara's backstory, and her and Master Pakku's families shared history. And then by episode's end, Master Paku decides to take her on. And funny thing is, by the next episode, which is the Siege of the North, the season 1 finale, Katara has become a better waterbender than Aang has. And we find out that in the second season, she actually becomes Aang's waterbending teacher. So all in all, it all started with the waterbending master, and that's why that episode made it on this list. Coming in at number 4 is Season 2, Episode 20, the Season 2 finale, The Crossroads of Destiny. Now, this is the episode, as I said, as I just mentioned, it concludes Season 2, and this is when we get pretty much everyone's storyline in Season 2 gets wrapped up. Azula, Mai, and Ty Lee have successfully infiltrated they've successfully infiltrated the Earth Kingdom. They've infiltrated Ba Sing Se, and under the disguise of the Kyoshi Warriors. Now, in this episode is when they finally reveal themselves. This is also the episode when Azula's been consolidating the Dai Li agents. In this episode, let's see, Sokka's finally reunited with his father, and he has to leave them in order to return to Ba Sing Se. Aang has been training with Guru Patik, and he has to leave that from a vision that he has in order to return to Ba Sing Se to save Katara. Toph has actually been apprehended by oh man, so much stuff to get into with this episode. Pretty much 2 gentlemen have been hired in order to hired by Toph's parents in order to retrieve her. So that's where she's been, and she finally broke out and met back up with Aang and Sokka on their way back to Ba Sing Se. So there's that. Oh man. Okay. Zuko and Uncle Iroh have been found out by Azula, and so Iroh is on the run, and Zuko's pretty much at a major crossroad. He's at a decision whether or not he should stay the course, you know, with the new leaf that he's turned with Uncle Iroh, or should he go back to his old ways and side with Azula. And so all of these subplots accumulate in the big battle that begins as Aang and Katara versus Azula, and then of course Zuko choosing to side back with Azula, it becomes Aang and Katara versus Zuko and Azula, and then the Dai Li agents jump in there, and it's just a big mashup. The reason why this episode made it on my top 5 list is because this is actually, believe it or not, this is actually the first episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender I ever saw. Because when Avatar: The Last Airbender first came out, of course, I was a cynic, just like a lot of people who misjudged the series. You know, oh, it's on Nickelodeon, it's kid shit. Yeah, I know, I was one of those people back then. And so the thing was, I saw this episode when it was rerunning on weekday afternoons, and yeah, this was the first episode I saw. And when I saw that final fight, I was like, oh my god, I gotta go back and watch the rest of this. So this is the episode that got me into the series. Also, this episode, you know, is a pivotal moment for Zuko's character arc, because this is, you know, he just got done, you know, turning over a new leaf, and now he's being tempted to go back to his old ways. So he has to kind of, you know, make a very important decision. Aang also has to make an important decision. He left his training, learning to control the Avatar state, in order to save Katara, when the last lesson of that training was to let her go, so that he can, you know, so that he could master that ability. And Aang wasn't able to do it, and then of course there were consequences for that, because when he was shot by Azula, it completely cut him off to the Avatar state. He wasn't able to use it at all. So there's a lot of things that are welded very well in the series. I mean, in that episode, you know, and it wraps everything up for season 2. Now, number 3, and just, well, yeah, let's just get into number 3. Number 3 on my list is Season 3, Episode 20, Into the Inferno. This is part 3 of Sozin's Comet. And one of the difficult things about making this list was actually trying to decide whether or not I should consider Sozin's Comet as one episode instead of 4 separate ones. And I just decided to consider them 4 separate episodes. So yeah, Season 3, Episode 20, Into the Inferno, Part 3 of Sozin's Comet. This is the episode that starts the big battle that concludes the entire series. This is when Aang confronts Firelord Ozai and they start their battle. This is when Zuko confronts Azula and they have their Agni Kai to determine who's going to be the next Firelord. And then, of course, we have Sokka, Toph, and Suki commandeering one of the airships and using that to confront the entire airship fleet that Firelord Ozai is leading to the Earth Kingdom. And then we have the Order of the White Lotus invading Ba Sing Se in order to take it back in the name of the Earth Kingdom. So all 4 of those battles are happening simultaneously. Now, the reason why it's one of my top 5 favorite is because any of you all who have seen my favorite hero, favorite villain for Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's on Rogues Gallery Incorporated. Check it out if you haven't visited that channel yet. But my favorite hero in the series is Zuko, and my favorite villain is Azula. So this is the episode where we get that final battle, and I love it. I love that final battle. I love the build-up. I love the dialogue going into it. I love the score of that that plays during the fight. I love the whole thing, and I'm actually one of the ones who enjoy, who really like the way the fight ends, because of course we see Zuko pretty much loses the fight because he takes a dive and takes a direct hit of Azula's lightning when she tries to attack Katara with it. And then, of course, in the next episode, we see Katara's the one who actually defeats Azula. A lot of fans of the series don't like that ending, but I do, because it reinforces Zuko's entire character arc. If Zuko had not learned anything, and if he had not changed as a character, he would have just been like, fuck Katara, bam, kill Azula, win. No, but Zuko has come full circle into becoming a hero, and so yes, he takes that he takes the sacrifice. He makes the sacrifice. He takes that hit in order to save a friend. Without that, Zuko's character arc wouldn't have concluded as nicely. So I like it. Also, Into the Inferno features Azula's mental breakdown. What's funny is when I was watching the episode for the first time, I would have never expected that to happen to Azula, because up to this point in the series, we've been told, we saw it, she's Miss Perfect. She's Miss Perfect. She never makes a misstep, never makes a miscalculation. But then again, that's exactly what sets the foundation for her mental breakdown, because up to that point, even with the little setbacks, Azula's always been able to capitalize. And when at the conclusion of the Boiling Rock, episodes 14 and 15, when May and Ty Lee betray Azula, oh man, that was just the final. That was just that was the crack in the dam that led to the levee breaking. At that point, man, Azula just flipped her fucking lid. It was just bam, she was gone. So I thought that was very well done. Alright, now in vein of that, number 2 on the list is actually Season 3, Episode 19. It's the episode right before Into the Inferno, and that's the Old Masters, Part 2 of Sozin's Comet. Now, you might think it's kind of weird. It's like, Larry, why would you put Episode 20 behind Episode 9? Like, why would you put that lower on the list than episode 19. Why would episode 19, be higher up on the list? And there's a reason for that. The reason for that is, even though episode 20 gives you, it satisfies you with the action, episode 19 is the one that satisfies you with the narrative. And my thing is, you all, anyone who follows this channel already knows I always put story before action, always narrative above, the actual like confrontations and fights and stuff like that. So the Old Masters, that episode, oh my God, where to start? There's so much going for it. So for those of you who don't know, this is the episode that pretty much builds up to the final fight. This is the episode where it's like, all right, it's happening. Aang is missing, and in his disappearance, he's consulting the 4 previous avatars about how he's going to handle, the final fight with Fire Lord Ozai. Should he kill him or should he not? Team Avatar is searching for him. And in the process, they discover the Order of the White Lotus, who are preparing for their invasion of Ba Sing Se, their siege of Ba Sing Se. And then while this is going on, of course, Fire Lord Ozai is preparing his airship fleet to attack the Earth Kingdom. So those are the 3 big things that's going on in this episode. But the reason why it's one of my favorites and why I absolutely love it, oh man, okay. Aang's conversation with the previous 4 avatars, each one, love it. I love it. Of the 2, my favorite are Avatar Kyoshi is probably my absolute favorite, and then Avatar Yang Chen, the previous airbending avatar. And then so I love those 2 conversations, love them. Then second up on that list is Zuko's reconciliation with Ozai. I love that scene. And then I love the one where they're all, in the circle talking about what they're going to do during the comet. And one of my absolute favorite scenes, because it's one, that I relate to, that I remember, that really got me here when I first saw it, and even when I rewatch it as I'm older, as I mentioned before, Zuko is my favorite character. And that's because I relate to him so much, I always tell people I was Zuko at that age. And old Iroh, did I say Ozai earlier? I meant Iroh. If I said Ozai earlier, I apologize. But Iroh, what he says to Zuko when Zuko suggests that he be the one to defeat Ozai, he says, well, no, history will only remember it as a brother killing another brother to assume power. No, it must be, the only way for this to end peacefully is for the Avatar to defeat the Fire Lord, but it's for the Avatar to defeat the Fire Lord and for the new Fire Lord to be an idealist with unquestionable honor. And he says it has to be you, Prince Zuko. And Zuko's reply, he's like, unquestionable honor? How can you say that? I've made so many mistakes. And Iroh's reply, he says, you're right. You've struggled, you've suffered, but you have always followed your own path. You restored your own honor, and only you can restore the honor of the Fire Nation. That line is like, it gets to me in here, because I can relate to that. I'm like, yeah, Zuko, fucking right, the man, you the man. Man, and whenever I watch that scene, I'm like, Zuko, you the fucking man. I love that scene. And then, of course, but funny thing, out of that episode, that's not my favorite scene. My favorite scene from that episode is the last scene when Aang meets the lion turtle. And I don't give a fuck what anybody says about the lion turtle. That monologue from the lion turtle, oh my God. One of my favorite monologues, one of my favorite scenes, one of my favorite pieces of dialogue out of the entire series. I absolutely love it. Love it. Alright, and not to make this video too long, I'm not sure if any of you all have figured it out now. It might come as a surprise, but funny enough, my number one absolute favorite episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, hands down, undisputedly, is, drum roll please, Season 3, Episode 5, The Beach. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. It's like, Larry, man, seriously? That was such a fan service episode. The only reason why that episode exists is so we could see Azula and May and Ty Lee in swimming suits and, you know, doing summer stuff. But that's not why it's my favorite episode. The reason why it's my favorite episode is because it has my hands down number one favorite scene in the entire series, and that's Zuko's monologue during the campfire scene in the second to last scene of the episode. Any of you all who've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. When Ty Lee, you know, after Zuko and May have just got done pretty much, you know, arguing, and Ty Lee's like, hey guys, you know, calm down, you know, this much stress is bad for your skin, you'll totally break out. And Zuko's like, bad skin? It's like normal teenagers worry about bad skin. I don't have that luxury. My dad taught me a permanent lesson on my face. And then that just opens up the door for the rest of the conversation when Zuko's like, you know, I got everything I ever wanted. I'm back home. My dad talks to me. He even thinks I'm a hero. I should be happy, right? But I'm not. I'm madder than ever, and I don't know why. And then, of course, there's that round table question. It's like, well, you know, the simple question is, who are you mad at? You know, are you mad at me? Are you mad at dad, your uncle? And Zuko's like, no, 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 no. And he's so frustrated. He's struggling so hard. And they're like, you know, just answer the question. And Zuko shouts out, I'm angry at myself. And then that fire sparks. And they're like, why? And he's like, because I'm not sure I know the difference between right and wrong anymore. And that's the peak of Zuko's character arc. That's that peak in that episode, in that moment, in that line, in that conversation, right there. And it's like, man, it's so fucking powerful. Love it. All right, I'm done geeking out now. I'm done geeking out. All right, so that concludes my top 5 favorite Avatar: The Last Airbender episodes. And just so you guys know, there is an honorable mention list twice as long as this one. I mean, there's so many good episodes in this series. But that's going to conclude this video. In the comments below, leave your thoughts on the series, as well as your suggestions for next week's top 5 list. And as I mentioned before, it can be anything. Top 5 favorite, you know, movies, TV shows, episodes, music, bands, albums, least favorite, most favorite, whatever you can come up with. Get creative, get imaginative. And coming down the wire later this weekend, I have the discussion of the week being released tomorrow, followed by this week's Advice Corner video being released on Sunday. And with that being said, this is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. I'm signing off, and until next time, peace.